Do you see this infinite void? How deep this goes represents how deep the fucking glitches go in Cyberpunk 2077. But on a serious note, this is the Steam page for Cyberpunk. And I don't need to tell you guys that, of course, the PC version, like if you're running like a really high-end PC, of course that's going to outperform the console version. That's always the case, right? But usually it's just in terms of graphical fidelity, frame rate, small things like that. With Cyberpunk, it pretty much only runs well on PCs. I made a Facebook post about it, how I was really disappointed with the state that the game came out in, even after the long development times and everything. And I got into some discussions with some friends about it. And the friends I had that posted about how much they liked the game and how they hardly encountered any bugs were both playing on PC. My friend Steven said he's only ever encountered one kind of game-breaking thing where like an NPC wouldn't spawn in, and then he just had to save quit, and that was it. Like, didn't even need to restart the game, do anything like that. You can see here over 250,000 people have reviewed the game, and who knows how many have actually purchased it. But even though the console versions were always slated to sell better, and they have, it seems like a lot of detail, or a lot of the attention was given to making the PC version run. And I was on YouTube, and this channel Game Ranks was talking about Cyberpunk because they put out a review of it, and they mentioned that CD Projekt Red had like barred them from discussing or showing any footage of any of the console versions or anything like that. If you got your hands on one of the physical copies of a console version that shipped out early from Best Buy, you were gonna get hit with DMCA strikes and all this other shit. And it's not just that we don't want people to see the game early. It was because they were fucking terrified of it getting out in a pre-patched state. Like, even after the patches, I don't feel like it personally fixed anything. I still encounter what I feel like is just as many bugs as I did when the game first came out. And to show you this, again, these are all written by PC players. This guy has 95 hours on record, and I understand that I'm not going to recommend it, but I spent over almost 100 hours playing it. But, obviously the PC version runs better, but there's such a disconnect. Like, a lot of people mention, oh, this is based on my experience. I have a high-end gaming PC. This is just my experience. But a lot of them don't mention that. They don't take that into consideration. They think that, because it works fine for me, then the game's not as bad as, everyone thinks. So this guy starts off fine, that the game had a massive hype train that ended up crashing into a fucking wall. But the hype train was massive, and it could never live up to that, which, yes, I agree with. Does this make it as bad a game as many are claiming? No, not quite. So he doesn't think it's that bad. Then he goes on to say, in his own words, that it's riddled with immersion-breaking bugs, questionable game mechanics, sloppy design choices, and characters that basically feel like there's no depth to them at all, which I kind of agree with. I do like the characters, but they're not very well fleshed out, which is, it's kind of like, jarring isn't the right word, but the map is so massive, there's so much shit going on, that I don't think it would have been that hard to add more depth to the characters. And if you're wondering why I'm wearing this dirty-ass rain jacket, I have to go to work in 20, 30 minutes doing some construction shit, because if CD Projekt Red can't fix shit, that's kind of my way, of getting my anger out on things. I just swing a fucking hammer, and I can fix shit, even if they can't. But, sloppy design choices, characters have no love to them. It really isn't that bad. The main questline has some gripping moments, but not that memorable. It's not that bad, but I just don't remember the fucking main bulk of the story. My favorite quest is the Pan Am quest series by far, which is kind of a side quest. Not really. I mean, you do Pan Am things for the main quest, but it's just there's multiple quest chains that play into the main quest. So if you play The Witcher, you know that there's parts where you have to go, talk to the Baron, go here. When you're trying to track down Ciri, it's you can do multiple quest lines that all end up intersecting at one point. That's basically that. Other than that, most characters and quests are easily forgotten. That's a bulk of the fucking gameplay, dude. The story is pretty short. A majority of the content in the game is the side things you can do. Helping the cops, fucking people over, just forget about the kind of GTA style pandemonium of like going on killing sprees and doing that, which isn't really that big of a draw in this game. But there's so much to do. There's so many side jobs. Like I'm constantly getting phone calls and text messages like, "Hey, do you need a job? Do you need a job? I got a car for sale. Do you need a like it's fucking constant. And then I'm not gonna keep reading through these, but some of these people were saying that, oh, it's complete. Actually, wait. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, right here. This one. Despite the hatred distilled by opportunity marketing coming from people who survive posting videos from the top trendings and don't have the minute. That's a fucking hell of a run-on sentence that really doesn't make that sense. But Cyberpunk is a work of art. I agree that it does have the potential to be that. So many details, immense interactivity, and a great progression system. I do really like the skill trees and the different progression paths that you can take with your character. There are a lot of really neat details, and it is very interactive. Graphics, 10 out of 10, if you're playing on PC. Control, 9 out of 10. Console, people constantly complain about stick drift issues. The fucking gunplay feels stiff. Like, people have likened it to Borderlands, but that's not true. I think Borderlands is really fucking smooth. Even the first one, which was kind of clunky in regards to 2 and 3, and even the pre-sequel, but it's not that great unless you're on PC. I would assume the gunplay is better if you're on mouse and keyboard, right? History, 12 out of 12. Sure, I guess the world is cool. Immersion, 10 out of not really, because it's not what it was branded to be. It was branded as like this, massive open world. You can do whatever you want with V. And even though V is a voiced character, because that's something that kind of hampers down your ability to be free in an RPG is when you have a voiced character. Like if you look at Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, where you can run around and do all sorts of shit. Like you're picking dialogue options, but you don't have character voice lines for your character for every option because there's just so much shit to do. Where in Fallout 4, you get dialogue options introduced and it becomes massively more linear, right? And so I see where people are thinking that because the character is voiced that there can't be that much freedom, but I mean, you could easily they could have done so much more with the life paths. The life paths is the biggest gripe, or one of the biggest gripes I have, where you can choose, do you want to be a nomad, like Outcast? Do you want to be a street kid, little hustler in the streets of Night City? Or do you want to be a corpo, like a CEO type, big money, big baller type thing like that? And was kind of portrayed like, oh, these are your different life paths. It's going to totally change it, but it just only affects like the first maybe 30 minutes of the game, and then everyone ends up playing the same game in the end eventually. It has no bearing on anything, except you unlock like specific dialogue options sometimes that pertain to whatever life path you chose, but they usually don't even progress the conversation. Like you have alternate dialogues, kind of. You have like just things you can say to get more lore or shit like that, but it doesn't ever progress the conversation all the way. And none of those life path oriented conversation pieces actually ever do anything. It's just a little bit of whatever, and you get an achievement for using 10 of them. Quest line, 10 out of 10. Yeah, I guess there are some cool quests in there. There's some really nice Easter eggs. Some really neat shit in there. Music and sound, I agree. The soundtrack is absolutely a banger. The sound, not really. You get overlapping dialogue constantly, and I'm assuming, again, that this doesn't happen on PC. This is only a console exclusive issue. This game is the new Crysis for benchmarking your system. Okay, so Crysis, if you don't like, Crysis is such a visually and technically demanding game that years and years after it was released, like I'm talking like 5, 6, 7 years afterwards, it was still melting PCs. And they're saying, oh, this is the new Crysis. It's like, well, that's really great if you have a PC. A lot of them treat it, though, like the game, like all the hate and all the bad press and stuff it's getting is completely unwarranted. And that's not true. Because I'm going to show you a video right now. 10 minutes of... This is just one video, by the way. There's multiple videos of Cyberpunk on PS4. Actually, to the point where if you type in Cyberpunk 2077 on PS4... Give me a second. Oh, shit. The first thing that pops up is the word meme. Cyberpunk 2077 on PS4 meme. That's not good. You would think that there would be like reviews or, things like that. Nope, just all memes. Like basically the game is one giant fucking meme. So when I watched this video for the first time, I was expecting to see a bunch of glitches that I have personally run into, but surprisingly, no. A lot of these are glitches that I didn't know existed. There are so many That like the bugs are almost a feature, and buggy games don't necessarily like inherently piss me off because I mean I was playing Fallout New Vegas on PS3 and that game would crash all the fucking time. There's constantly glitches. And some of them are hilarious. Some of the bugs and glitches I've encountered are hilarious. But a lot of the ones that like hinder progression or stop progression altogether, I've had tons of those where NPCs just are not spawning, quest objectives aren't updating, things aren't working the way they should. During the final street race side mission with Claire, trying to get that fucking car that Samson is in to go just straight down a road was impossible. Cause like he's like if you get far behind him, he slows way down. If you get within like 10 meters, he speeds up. But you drive at full speed and he doesn't. Like you're constantly running him over, which fucks with your car. His car has like infinite mass and cannot be fucked with when you get to that end stage. And so like getting close and speeding up, if he happens to try to take a corner or something, he'll like hyper accelerate around a corner and his car will just shoot off into the wall, bounce around and get stuck behind a fence or do something. Like it is constantly getting bugged. And I had to restart that mission and play the entire final race over 5 fucking times just to get this thing to play out the way it's supposed to, which is he crashes his car, he crawls out, and then you have a choice to kill or save him. Slight spoiler. It's a side quest. It's really not that much of a spoiler. But just something like a simple street race, I had to retry 5 fucking times. And in the other street races, like the preliminary street races, oftentimes I would be way out in front, and then all of a sudden, instead of being in first place, I was magically in third place. And you have to follow a set path. You can't take shortcuts because you have to hit these checkpoints along the way, unless you're the AI. Then the AI can just teleport 2 positions and like 7 checkpoints ahead of you. And you can see it on the map. They're constantly, like, looks like they're spawning in, despawning, doing all this crazy shit. They're flipping around, crashing, blowing up. It's just a fucking total mess. And that's just one side quest. And then the blue screens and crashes on PS4. And I'm playing PS4 Pro. I've heard horror stories about playing this on a base PS4. It's just supposed to be goddamned awful. Like, when it crashes, it doesn't even crash like a regular fucking game. Most games, when they crash on PS4, it takes like 5 seconds or something like that for it to compile an error report. You know, the little bar fills up to 100%. It's like, you want to send an error report? Yeah, sure, whatever. This game, when it freezes, or when it crashes, it takes so long to compile the error report. And oftentimes, I've had it just completely brick and freeze my console. Like, I've been in party chat, and I can still talk, and people can hear me, and I can hear them and shit. But I just sit on the crash screen, like the error report, and it just loops over and over and over again. And then if I try to open the quick menu and close out, or like restart the PlayStation or something, the whole thing gets frozen. Every menu gets frozen. Everything just completely fucks up. To the point where 2 times, I've actually had to forcefully disconnect the power cord from the back of my PlayStation, which I hate doing. I don't like toying with the chance of anything on my PlayStation getting corrupted, especially since you can't get a fucking PS5 now. I don't really want to do that. Having your save data backed up on the cloud, cool. I still don't want my shit to get bricked, And it can't even crash like a normal game. Even like the crash itself is its own special type of fuck up and bug. And I constantly feel like I have to like trick the game into working. Like I have to run here, run back, do this trippy shit, save load, do all these things. It's like I'm constructing like, those Rube Goldberg machines where you like rig up a bunch of complicated shit to do a simple task? That's exactly what this feels like. You constantly have to just jump through hoops to make basic shit work. And so a lot of these, like this bug right here that you're about to see, is not really a big deal. It's just, an animation glitch. Okay, that's not a big deal. Once you start getting into... Oh, and by the way, I should give a shout out to the guy that actually made this video. He compiled these. Kudos to Kudos. Right here. Oh shit. Sorry. Right here. Ah, fuck it. Whatever. I'm trying to highlight it. You see it. You know what I'm talking about. This is one I saw it happen to Critical.
What?
See, like, that's not a huge deal. That's kind of funny if it happens the first time. But I haven't had that happen to me yet. So I've already seen it. So if it were to happen to me, it'd just be more annoying than anything. Like, yeah, it's kind of funny to see one time, and then after that, it loses all of its novelty, and it just becomes a hindrance. Like, it's not progression stopping, but it's fucking sends you back 200 meters away from your objective. Like, what the fuck? Like,
What the fuck is that bug? What is
we're not
that
gonna watch
bug?
all of these, by the way. I just want you to see. Oh, this is one that happened to me. The Arasaka officer doing some weird shit to where I had to like chuck frags in and start just dumping ammo into there to try to like drop his HP while he's in the elevator. And then even after killing him, his corpse is still doing that. So you have to like time the looting process because you need to kill this guy to get a key card to get through the elevator. That's the whole point of this objective right here. I like had to like time it like you're trying to get the fucking golden snitch or something. Like it was ridiculous. Like having to like construct these galaxy brain moves just to get the game to fucking progress at a normal pace.
Now, I could paint the sidewalk with your guts, but that wouldn't get me what I'm owed.
This one's kind of
You
funny
wanna
too,
try?
but
Go on, son.
see
Save me.
now, and something to point out is that just because these ones aren't game breaking, what you're seeing is still important because it shows you that there's such a litany of bugs that you can't predict what's going to happen. So it's not just like this is like something like yeah, this is visit the sex shop. Very cool objective there, but like it's not that this one isn't game breaking, so why are you complaining? It's that NPCs in general are very buggy. So when you see something like this happen, like even basic little animation things can't play out right. When you start getting into the bigger game and start vastly exploring Night City and doing all this shit, you encounter so many lighting issues. Like, I mean, I have like street lights that render in, but the light doesn't actually render. It's like completely black, and you don't know where the fuck you're going, and then the lights pop in. I've had textures not load, like for whatever reason, like roads don't load, buildings don't load, to the point where you could walk through where they're supposed to be and fall down into the void under the map. I've had elevator doors be there, but like when you try to open them, they don't open, and you can actually walk through them because they have no collision, which causes you to fall under the elevator, and then all of a sudden everything has collision again, and now you're trapped in this space that you shouldn't be in. Constantly, I'm having like doors, like things just not rendering when they should be, and you have to sit out to like Delamain HQ, the AI cab company, sitting up every time I fucking pull up there. I could just walk straight through the front doors. Nothing is loaded. None of the screens are loaded. People spawning in and out. Fucking everything is just broken. And like I said, this is PS4 Pro, which in theory should be able to perform better than the base PS4. And I have heard horror stories about the PS4 version, base PS4, and I don't even want to imagine. And I can't imagine that it's much different on Xbox because I'm seeing right here, a lot of these people do play on Xbox. And still just as many glitches. Look at that texture on that bike. Look at the texture on this motorcycle. Not loaded. Oh. It kills you. Now, if that were happening in the middle of like a quest line, that would probably set you back at least a few minutes. Visual bugs. That also happened to me when I got my Gorilla Arms cybernetic enhancement. I got the Gorilla Arms, and anytime they weren't equipped, I would look down, and I had 3 copies of both my arms. I had 6 fucking arms, and like these ones were working, the main ones were working, and then there were like copies underneath them that were like infinitely stretching into the ground under the player center. So they were doing like, hold up, shit, clips on as long as I thought it was. They were doing that. They were like stretching towards some point for some unknown reason while they're attached. Like it's so hard to explain. There are so many fucking bugs, and some of them are really funny and cool at first, but it gets to a point where it's like bugs are not a feature anymore, you know? Like some games can get away with it, like Oblivion, Skyrim, the older Fallout games, they can get away with it and it's part of the charm. You know, like it used to be a joke between me and my friends, like, "Oh, that's a Bethesda thing. That's a Bethesda thing. It just happens, you know, whatever." But this is to a point where it's borderline unacceptable. They took the fucking game off of the PlayStation Store. Like, you can't even get the digital copy. You can go get a hard copy, and they're still going to patch it and do updates, but they don't want people downloading the game from the PlayStation Store. Like, that's ridiculous. And then I think you could even get refunds through the PS Store, which I didn't even know you could do that. It's like, but apparently with Cyberpunk, it's a thing, and maybe there's like some complicated process you have to go through where you contact Sony or something like that. But I haven't tried to get my refund because I really love CD Projekt Red, and I think they're a very consumer friendly dev for the most part, and I do have faith that they're gonna fix this shit eventually. But it's just, I'm not gonna give up on them or anything. Hold on, grab my Red Bull real quick. So I didn't go through the refund process or even try to, so I don't know. But it sounded like you could do it straight through the store. Like for this, like they made a special exception for this game being particularly shitty. You can still get it digital on Xbox, I'm pretty sure, and the PC version is running perfectly fucking fine. So it's not that the hate that this game is unwarranted, it's that it's very warranted, and people aren't exaggerating when they say, like, just because you don't encounter game-breaking glitches don't mean they don't happen. Because, like, when I tell you, like, simple side quests, they have to repeat 5 times just to get a basic AI script to do what the fuck it's supposed to do. NPCs don't spawn. Quest objectives not updating. The constant litany of crashes. Like, it crashes every 2 or 3 hours. And normally that's not an issue. Normally it crashes and I just wait and wait and wait. Like, the abnormally long time that it takes to compile an error report. And then just launch the game. Take the little bit of progress I lost. And redo it. Like, it's usually not that much of an issue. But like I said, there's been 2 times where it just bricked my entire console. And I've had to do a hard power reset. Which is not cool. At all. And I didn't want this to turn into a rant, but it's hard not to. Like, when the game works, I do think it's really fun. I think it's a really cool, environment, concept, city. It's so well fleshed out. There's a lot of shit to do. Very interactive world. There's constantly things to do. It's just not done well. Dialogue stacks over each other. I have weird glitches all the time where, like, a dialogue box will pop up because, like, it doesn't have traditional subtitles for a lot of things where it appears on the bottom. Like NPC dialogue, like ambient chatter, is kind of like these little text bubbles above their head. And I've had it to where those don't go away. No matter how far away you could fast travel, you could drive 4.5 kilometers away, and you turn around and you can still see the fucking subtitle floating there. Which sometimes it's just a little one and it doesn't really make that much of a difference. But then other times, that character that's modeled off of Co-Carnage, that sits outside of Victor, the Ripper Doc's store. That guy, sometimes he has huge dialogue boxes. That, like, chunks of dialogue that pop up, and those get stuck constantly. And that's if that NPC even fucking spawns in, because countless times he's marked on the map and he's just not there. Doesn't spawn in. Like so many other things. And I really do have fun when I can go uninterrupted by bugs, when I can just play the game and everything works, and I'm not getting killed by some random weird collision, or my characters aren't getting stuck, or my car isn't getting stuck because I drive over a fucking Chinese takeout box, which is a dead-ass serious thing that happened. Literal, just a little piece of trash on the ground. Chinese takeout box. I backed over it, whole car got completely stuck. Had to get out, run far enough away to just kind of despawn the car, and then, not despawn it, but run far enough away that I could call the car again and have it delivered. And that's a fucking mess. Motorcycles cloning or dropping off the wrong vehicle and then the right one spawns out of it, but it's in the center, so they have this massive collision impact and it shoots the vehicles off in the fucking outer space. Goddamn, light poles and things like that not spawning in but still having collision, or they do spawn in and they don't have collision, so you drive your car through it to where there's a pole running up through the center of your car, oh, that's so funny, and then it magically has collision and your car gets stuck, which is the best case scenario, or it gets launched in part of fucking Elon Musk's new space program. It's constantly, shit is just constantly going wrong. And a majority of it is not game breaking. I don't want to harp on that too much and make people think that the whole game is fucked. I mean, it does run like a hot pile of garbage. Frame rate issues, all sorts of issues. But it is playable. And it is fun when you are playing it. It's really fun. If you have the patience of a fucking monk to deal with all of the litany of issues that are going on currently with the PS4 version. And I would assume it's the same for both console ports. It seems like they just were fast tracking to get to a deadline. Even though with all of the delays, you can tell that they knew they probably should have pushed it back even further. But the reason they chose December 10th, I think it was, or whatever it was, is that they wanted to get it out before Christmas. And you got it. You got all those holiday sales, and then you probably got a fuckload of refunds now on PlayStation 4, which I think is one of the main reasons they took it off of the store. Is that like they don't want people getting the game realizing how bad it is on PlayStation and then immediately going to get a refund. And they also put a deadline on the refunds. Like, yeah, you can get refunds by December 21st, and it's December 22nd now. So I don't even think that you can get your refunds now. They're like, you have like a week to decide whether or not you want to keep it. They said it, and on Twitter, they said they have updates planned for January, and then another one for February. The game should be ready by February, bro. How long has this game been in development, and like no one played it on a PS4? Like, you can't help but feel snaked if you... I mean, I do have a PC, but it's not spec'd enough to run the game the way I feel like it should be ran. You know, I'd like... So if you play a majority of your shit on consoles, then you expect that when something is coming out on console and PC, while you understand that the PC version might run and perform better, it shouldn't be the only, like, playable version of the game. And I know I said earlier that the game is playable, and it is when it works for, like, a couple hour stretches at a time. If you're prepared to deal with crashes and bugs and all sorts of other shit. And so this video is going on way longer than I thought it would. I really wanted to make this a quick thing, and then shit just kept popping in my head. And we didn't even get 2 minutes into this video. Just go on YouTube, look it up. The fucking Cyberpunk memes. It's all, and most of it is like not even YouTube poop, like really meme type stuff. It's just, and I don't mean meme, I mean meme-y, meme, right? But it's like just game footage. Like, the game is the meme. You don't even have to do anything to it. Like, what the actual fuck? Like, you know that that's bad. When it's like, what's the latest meme of Cyberpunk on PS4? Oh, it's just the fact that the game is running on a fucking PlayStation 4. But that's kind of it for my rant. It's getting close to time. Wait, let me check what time it is. Yep. I have to be out there in about 13 minutes. So I'm going to stop this, get a quick bite to eat, and take my mind off of this cyber fucking game, dude. Hope you guys liked it. Again, sorry for how long of a rant it was. If you did like it, hit a like. If you disliked it, I'd appreciate it if you didn't dislike it, but go ahead and do it. Free country. Free world. Whatever. Do you. I'm sick of talking about this fucking thing, and I'll see you later.